West TV, tazama ilivyo.
Good morning, dear viewer. You're so welcome on The Morning Scoop. The Morning Scoop this week, we are looking at something very hard to discuss. You see, in our community, we have occurrences and instances that leave us baffled. We wonder what is happening. And at some point, we feel like we don't know whom to turn to. There is no savior in our community. Why am I saying this? Because there are occurrences that happen, and it's not one-off, it's not random. It looks like it's calculated, because in one area you can encounter something, a theft of an animal here, a death of an elderly woman, a rape, like that. And sometimes the wheels of justice or things or people whom we look at to respond to the pressure in our communities tend not to listen, or maybe they listen but their priorities are elsewhere. Today we want to look at a wave that is happening all over the country. In every location, in every county in this country, you see something happening. In Western Kenya, we see a lot of animal theft, we see a lot of breakage, people breaking in and stealing things from homes, and nothing happens. I remember recently I hosted the regional commissioner who said that they are doing their best. The big question is their best not good enough or something? We want to look at what is happening in our community, but before we go into the conversation, I just want to introduce my guest, Ronald. We've known each other for a while. My brother, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is the morning. And we want to do this with you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
My name is Ikayes. This is The Morning Scoop. It comes live on YouTube. We are on social media. Please leave a message and a comment. Whenever you see us, talk to us, we'll be able to be glad. And before we do this conversation, I just want to request my director, who is Kevin Kibet, to give us a clip of an incident that happened in Kitui. It's going to start us off.
Katika kisa cha usiku wa jana, genge la wahalifu lilivamia kijiji cha Laini kata ndogo mawe tatu nyakati za usiku na kumkata mkazi mwenye ulemavu kabla ya kumpora simu na kumwacha na majeraha mabaya.
Mimi nimeshangaa sana nikiwa landlord wa huyu mwenye amekatakatwa. Na tena kukatakata kwake ni yeye ni kiwete. Yeye ni kiwete mkono moja na wamekata ile ambayo huwa anaweza kufanyia kazi. Waliingia saa 6:30. Yenye walichukua simu mbili. Ile huwa mimi kama mzee nasema ya kwa ruhusa hiyo ina mbili kutoka kwake. Ndio kitu ambayo alisema.
Angalia kama hii boma haina kitu. Hawa watoto nakaa nao hapa ni majirani zangu na wazazi wako mbali. Niko hapa kama mama yao, kama shosho yao.
Baada ya uhayawani huo, genge hilo lielekea katika kijiji cha Nyortis kata ndogo ya Moisbridge, ambapo limvamia na kumpora Bi Teresa Nafula.
Ilikuwa usiku, saa 7 ya usiku. Niliona tu watu wanapika tu mlango, wanapika tu boom safari moja na wanaingia kwa nyumba. Kwenda kufanya wamenifikia tu, wamepepa tu mapanga hivi na mashoka. Asa mimi nikasema kweli msiniue kweli. Wakasema toa pesa haraka. Uliuza shamba, toa pesa haraka. Nikasema kweli mimi sina shamba yenye mimi naweza uza. Wakasema toa pesa yenye ulikuwa nayo yote. Nikatafuta kibeti, nikasema wacha nitafute hii kibeti kweli. Wacha nitafute kibeti nimupe. Nikatafuta nikawatupia ndio hiyo. Wakasema ongeza pesa nyingine wewe mama. Ulisikia watu wenye tuliua nini tulikatakata Lukulu. Nikasema ndio. Ulisikia mtu mwenye walikata huko Birikitia. Nikasema ndio. Wakasema sasa sasa ni sisi toa pesa haraka. Acha nilisema tu Mungu wangu mnisaidie tu kweli, mimi sina pesa ingine, ni hiyo tu peke yake. Wakapika vitu, wakaanza kusanya makuku kwa nyumba, wakilenga kwa kunia, wakianza wakachukua tu kila kitu.
Kaanza kumwambia kwamba sisi ndio tumekata mtu lukulu, tumekata mtu pirikitia shingo ikaanguka huko, sasa ni sisi tumekuja kwako, fanya haraka, si hapa peke yake, tunataka kwenda mahali pengine, sio wewe peke yako, sisi tuna survey tu hii area yote.
Wakazi hawa ambao kwa sasa wanaishi kwa hofu ya kuvamiwa wakati wowote wanaitaka idara ya usalama eneo hili kuwajibika vilivyo na kuwatia mbaroni wahusika wanaotatiza usalama.
Au maskari ambao kwa mawe tatu mnalala usingizi, mnafanya kazi gani? Sisi tunataka kwamba tu form group ya vijana, sisi wenyewe tujilinde na tukabiliane na watu ambao wanatusumbua, maana kwamba sisi hatuna usalama ya kutosha.
Sasa saa hii tuko na shida, hatuna amani, hatuwezi kulala. Wengine tunakaa peke zetu kwa manyumba. Sasa hatuna usalama. Na hatuna amani ya kusema uko kwa bomu unakaa. Mpaka wengine tunafikiria tuuze mashamba tutafute mali tutaenda. Hii area ni mbaya. Serikali tunataka mtusaidie.
Askari wetu wamelala usingizi. Maskari wetu wa matunda wanakimbia wakitoa ushuru kwa wenye pombe, lakini hawashughuliki na mambo ya wizi. Watu wetu wanaangamia na wizi. Mtu mlevi hawezi uwa mtu. Mlevi hawezi ibia mtu. Mtu mwenye anaipa ni mtu mwenye ako macho. Lakini sasa wanakimbizana na pombe, lakini waizi hawakimbizani nao.
Joseph Amnyotieno, West TV, Kuyani, County ya Kakamega.
Now that is an issue. That is an issue which we need to ask ourselves. What is happening? And that's the question I want to bring to you, my brother. What is contributing to this rise of criminal activities? Or, in your understanding, what do you think is a criminal activity? Because I think that is criminal activity that is going on. And when you listen to those clips, when you listen to those voices, they're desperate. As in, they don't have whom to respond to. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, we are living in very desperate moments, and as a country, we are in that time of history when crime is very high. First and foremost, by 2024, that's last year, the ratio of the police to the people they take care of was at one policeman against about 514 residents. And you see that one is way above the UN standard. So the number of police is so low. We need to upscale in terms of security. Security must be given a first priority. Very, very critical. However, it's not about the number of security personnel. There are so many factors today that are causing all this because why I said we are living in a very difficult moment. This is the GNC time, and until we manage this huge population, until we address their issues, insecurity will scale up, and we will be violent in confronting them, and it will not be the solution.
Yeah, because I look at the killings that are going on.
Yeah.
Like the young man or the person living with disabilities that was murdered. Animal theft that is happening. I myself lost my ng'ombe, and recently I lost my chicken. People just came into my compound and stole my chicken. And there is, as in, you start wondering, like I went to the police and they started asking me too many questions. Like they were wondering whether am I honest by saying that they actually came and stole my chicken. So the issue is, when there is that kind of laxity on the level of the authorities, on the side of the authorities, I mean, what should people do?
The issue here, okay, I'm looking at one of the key reasons today actually why we are having all these things is substance abuse disorder. It is now a problem. Substance abuse disorder.
Okay, substance abuse is fueling the rise of crime.
Exactly.
That's okay.
Yeah.
But then why don't we have, if these people are apprehended, why are we not having convictions? As in, if someone is arrested and we see that something has happened against this person, we expect that that should serve as a deterrent. But it's not.
Okay, one, the gap between early warning and early response is so huge. That is very important. In fact, for the arrest to happen, it's not easy. It could be a couple of days, even a week. So the gap between early warning and early response, the time we receive those alerts that there is an incident, is so huge. We need to minimize that gap. So, and we can only minimize that gap when we have enough police, they have enough equipment, and they have capacity. And also the aspect of information sharing. I mean, as communities, we are not also very, very open in terms of sharing information.
From
real-time information to say, I can see 5 men or 10 men in a group, and I don't know what they are doing. We have not said they are criminals, but it is important for such alerts to come out so the security personnel is aware that in point A there are 10 men meeting and we would like to know whether they are playing draft or what are they planning.
Why are they
yes.
in that organization?
Yes.
But then the issue is this. We sometimes don't even trust the police because we could invite them. Like you see the woman here saying, they're only active when they are following Busa dens. They're not, as when you need their response whenever there is crime, they tend not to respond.
That's true, and actually one of the challenges we have, and not just in Western Kenya or Kenya, it's an entire African problem. We need to put a civilian face on our security system so that people see an askari as our own brother who was employed recently and is come to assist us. There is need to put that civilian face over there. But as long as it is us versus them, then there is no information sharing. You do your thing and we do our thing. So an askari will come, pick his bribe, and that's it. So crime actually, in such a confused environment, crime becomes an enabler for corruption. It creates an opportunity for you to get what you want to get. So there is no fighting of crime here. The question is there is a desire so that when crime goes down, then everybody is sad because hakuna njia sasa ya kupata pesa. And so there is need to create a civilian face between the residents and the security systems.
Yes.
Yeah.
You see, you've just talked about corruption. You see, there are those who think that apart from following Busa brewers and coming into Busa dens to arrest or harass them, another more active area which the police are involved in are political settings, where they are either harassing politicians or they are so much on the political side. They tend to be doing political bidding more than providing security to the general public.
And that's the whole thing. That is the whole thing. The question is, sometimes we question even the terms of reference for our security personnel in any given county. When we spend so much time giving political surveillance, following and trying to understand who said what and where, And what does it mean? It basically leaves the rest of the crime aspects unattended to. And that's why actually you don't see, and that's why you see now the popular saying, we will arm up ourselves, put some vigilante groups so that we can protect ourselves. So the issue, it rises and falls on the leadership. When in every weekend, all we are doing is following politicians. And look at the drama. Look at look at the drama around arresting a politician, sincerely speaking. After 4 days, dust has settled and you wonder whether there was anything, surely. And so, the drama that the police today are giving, actually the security agents are giving politicians, is the drama I used to see when I was a small boy and the police had come in the village arresting Busa attendants. And then I realized Busa, after all, was just a way of getting some means so that we can go to school. Today, politics is actually like Busa. We drink it right from morning up to evening. So we must begin to put priority on what we want, because I'm believing that as a country we have a crime report, annual crime report, and I'm believing we have hotspots, and those are areas where we are supposed to put our emphasis.
You see, as we speak, there's a young man who is in the mortuary, Albert. This guy from Homa Bay.
Yeah.
He died in the hands of the police.
Yes.
Whether he killed himself, as the police would want us to believe, or he was murdered, that is for the experts to come up and tell us. But this guy was arrested all the way from Kisii and taken to Nairobi. Okay? Now, recently, Trans Nzoia governor had in the same problems. We saw the drama.
Yeah.
Okay? We saw the drama where he was arrested in Nairobi, but then the policemen came to his home to try to get the evidence or whatever they wanted. They were following due diligence, okay, according to them. Now, when you look at the two instances and then come back home and look at where ourselves, our businesses, when you close your shop at 6 p.m., you actually add an askari there, and also you add a prayer, because you don't know whether you come back in the morning and find the two, the askari and the shop. So, do you think there is an over-concentration of security personnel to contract security?
It's not even over-concentration. This country needs a complete turnaround and an overhaul in the way, for example, we view security, in the way we do things. Let me give you an example. You see, you don't go to arrest a man who has been a serious security person up to regional commissioner in such like a manner. One, it is a waste of resources. Complete waste of resources. That man, Natembea, would have been arrested even using a motorcycle. He would have been arrested using an SMS, and that is just only 2 shillings to send an SMS and tell him, come to this particular place kindly, because we need to get some information from you. And the man will just walk with them, even without escort, and he will go. And you know, I am so surprised. Sometimes, Kenyans have even done their studies even out of this country. And when you are out there, an askari asks you, sir, I would like to arrest you because of this particular matter. Now unampatia mikono, and then you go. And after that, you get your lawyer. So when we put drama around there and then spend like a whole month around that particular thing, which is not even a big deal.
You see, now, like, the governor's story aside, See, because it pains me to see. Okay, the drama itself was it was staged for cameras because they were supposed to be seen to be working, but that's okay. But then let's look at the real the real benefit, or the real what have we benefited from that? It hyped, but it ends up to be nothing.
We just want our security systems to be professional. Let us be professional. What do I mean by professional? From a child's language. If, for example, a security agency wants to arrest me, they will apply pressure equivalent to how I am behaving. If I'm not violent, they will not be violent on me. If I'm violent, they will just a little bit increase that pressure so that I'm under handcuffs. That's how security operates around the world.
You see, in the movies they say, they actually ask guys to comply.
Yes.
When they comply, it's all nice.
You have seen.
Sometimes we tend to believe that is for the movies, but not in real world. And there was an argument that sometimes the policeman will go arresting somebody who is armed. So how are you going to be nice to someone who is armed? But then that is aside. That's beside the story. What is happening here is the element or the feelings in the villages when you walk in the villages. People tend to fear even the police themselves because they have no idea what will happen next.
Beyond Kenya, and you come, for example, on a roadblock. These guys have already understood who you are by the number plate, and they will come. They will ask you, "Can I see your ID?" They will pick your ID. They will go back to the machine, flash it, and they know exactly whether you are a drug guy, whether you had a jumping check, whether you are on the run. All these things, and then they will figure out, does this man, for example, need more do I need more support to arrest this man, or this is just a petty offender? And so they will address you in a very decent manner, sir.
That is outside there.
That's outside there, and it has come inside here. That's what we are using today. That's why we have roadblocks. That's why we have if you do this, you will pay this amount. You know, we need to embrace that, because again, look at it. People now have understood that security guys only work for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday when politicians are in the villages. That is wrong. We must change that. We must change that. And that is why this country can change into alliances. When, for example, you are arresting, let's say you are arresting a leader. We expect that an elected leader is supposed to know the law. And that a leader should be recalled to any security agency or police station, and he will go without much hue or cry.
Okay, so let's look at it this way. So you are saying there is a breakdown in the investigating system?
Completely. And it's not like we are lacking any equipment. It's a deliberate move. Go arrest so and so. Make the drama. The question is, who gives these orders? You know, sometimes I wonder in Kenya whether some of these leaders who give orders have even ever stepped out of Nairobi. So they really have no fakest idea how that can again have a ripple effect on the entire system. Because, you see, when you create precedents, be ready to withstand it after a time. And that's why we have the Constitution.
Now, when you say the breakdown, okay, let's agree. There's a breakdown in the investigative systems.
Yes.
And possibly prosecution.
Yes.
So that, not prosecution, but prosecution. Investigation and then prosecution.
Yes.
If there's a breakdown there, and actually, let me draw back to Governor Natembea's issue. He was arrested, then they came to look for evidence. It means they had not done due diligence, okay? Now, that one aside, look at the villages now.
So let me ask you a question. Did you go to tell these security agencies that the world is coming to an end? So what do? Go arrest this man very quickly because you will not have any time to get evidence, surely.
That's what I'm saying.
Evidence collection is a precursor to an arrest.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
That is what we see with high-level arrests, like now in the case of Governor Natembeya. Okay?
Yes.
What I'm looking at, now what I want you to look at and tell the viewer is, what happens in our villages? Because crime is all over. You call it petty. It could be as petty as they come. But they are there. But then we don't see arrests. We have Nyumba Kumi. We have village elders. We have sub-chiefs. We have chiefs. We have police posts and police stations in the villages. Nothing is happening.
There is basically no impetus, especially among the security agents, to work, honestly speaking. Because, look, we have the DCI department. We have the NIS. We have the police. In the police, we have the AP. There is ample time to collect information on anything, even before arrests are done. And as you have rightfully put it, we have the neighborhood watch through Nyumba Kumi. And these are people who relate with us on daily basis. And therefore there is no disconnect in terms of collecting information and understanding so that you are well informed. Because we should also understand that as we are arresting these people, we are taking them to court. And the judge there wants evidence, wants witnesses. You can't come with no witnesses, with no evidence. And you have caused drama. Kwamba tulifunga mtu ya pombe. You see, you cannot arrest, for example, mtu ya pombe na hata hakuna pombe. Surely. And that's why we need to question the fact that are we training the right people? Are we doing it in the right way? You think in every graduation, when we train these security agencies, are we sending out the right people? Maybe we need to question, are we paying them enough? Because I know of countries where you cannot bribe a security agents. They are well paid.
So the issue is this.
Yeah.
The way you are bringing it, you are trying to paint the picture that maybe the police or the investigative agencies have suspended their duties. And I want to be carefully agreeing with you. Why? Because there is a story here. I want us to go to the break. When we come back from the break, there is a story here where a villager went through a very horrifying experience. Here we come back in a bit, but please follow us on our social media, WestTV_. It's WestTV_ Kenya on X. We are on YouTube. It will be WestTV Live. You can always follow me at Mr. Kitui on X and Owasimiti CKS on my Facebook page. We'll be back in a bit.
West TV, tazama ilivyo.
Wakati wanatenga fedha wakumbuke hawa mama mashinani.
Wanasema mwanamke ni nguzo ya jamii, na hapa kwenye West TV Staftahi
Tumejifunza maneno mengi ambayo tulikuwa tujui.
kila siku ya Jumatano tunaangazia hatua wanazopiga wanawake hawa,
Na naweka gunia kwa mlango alafu napanda mboga.
We will not go into harambes again.
zungumzia uongozi, malezi, kilimo na hata afya.
Siwezi kuavote shilingi 350.
Nataka tuchue kama ni mbaya, mkuambie tukae nyumbani ama tufanye nini?
Hawana hata maji. Akitafuta mtu amletee maji kwa mtoni, mtu anamuitisha 50 bob.
Ni hapa kwenye West TV Staftahi kila siku ya Jumatano,
Wengi walikuwa washakuwa psychologically prepared according to how they voted.
kuanzia saa 2 hadi saa 3, kiwa nami Ruth Songa. Najua kwamba mtazamaji ungependa kusikia kuhusu usemi wa viongozi wa kidini katika masuala ya taifa.
It is our prayer and confidence that truth will prevail.
Maombi ya kila mwana Kenya.
As we pray with them and listen with them,
Our constitution and our laws.
Ndio maana kila siku ya Jumanne kuanzia saa 2 asubuhi hadi saa 3 asubuhi,
wasipokuwa na walimu vizuri, matokeo ya mtihani pia itakuwa shida.
After the general elections, kuweza kurekebisha kasoro katika eneo la kisiasa. Elections are over.
Shukrani zetu lazima zitoke ndani ya mioyo yetu.
unajumuika nami Winnie Wanyonyi ili tuweze kuangazia masuala ya usemi wa viongozi wa kidini katika masuala ya taifa.
West TV, tazama ilivyo.
Ni taswira ya ng'ombe aliyeibwa na kutendewa uhayawani, kutolewa kijusi tumboni, kunyofolewa mguu wa nyuma na kukatwa kichwa, wenyeji wakibaki na taswira ya kuogofya mno.
Na nimefeel uchungu sana. Ng'ombe yangu ilikuwa karibu inazaa hii mwezi ikiendelea kuisha. Ng'ombe ilikuwa inataka kuzaa. Wametoa ndama, wameiweka kando katikati ya barabara. Wamechinja kichwa, wameenda na kichwa na miguu mbili tu, na wameacha ng'ombe hapo. Hiyo kitendo imeniumiza. Nilikuwa karibu napata maziwa.
Nilipea wao watoto wangu hii ng'ombe akiizae wachukua kunywe maziwa. Wenyewe hawajiwezi, ni watu wa kutafuta tu. Hata huyo mtu mwenye alifanya hiyo kitendo kweli, kama Mungu anasikia malilio, apatikanie kwengine.
Wakazi hao eneo la rural Mkuyuni wamelalamikia ongezeko la visa vya wizi na mauaji ya kiholela eneo lao, kidole cha lawama kikielekezwa kwa maafisa wa kituo cha polisi cha Mkuyuni kwa kile kimetajwa kuzembea kazini.
Na serikali ya Mkuyuni mmelala, muamke chini mjue ya kwamba kuna mambo yenye yanatendeka huku nje. Mfanye patrol, mtembee kwa heri kila usiku. Maana hawa wananchi wote wanawahitaji nyinyi. Si eti asubuhi mkimbia mkisema mliona nani.
Huku watoto wanaibiwa, wengine wanachinjwa wakirushwa kwa miwa. Sasa tumeshangaa na hii kijiji tutakaje na watoto wetu.
Rabbing imekuwa nyingi, wenye wanafuta bangi kwa hii barabara ni wengi. Na sisi watoto wetu wasichana wanaamka mapema wanaenda shule. Watusaidie.
Mwenye alifanya hiyo ng'ombe hata akikupata wewe hata matumbo kangali kweli. Hakuna bwana. Sasa serikali ya Mkuyuni you are after pombe.
Wakazi hao kwa kukosa imani na asasi za usalama waliamua kutafuta huduma za mtaalamu wa dawa za kitamaduni. Nikiwa kijijini rural Mkuyuni na bunge la Tongaren County ya Bungoma, nikiripotia West TV, naitwa Tindo Agri.
Wow. Oh. Israel Agri, tunashukuru kwa hiyo story. Now, the issue is this. You see the desperation. Whatever they are saying in that story. You see, an animal is stolen. And then it is slaughtered. And what we carry from that animal is only a head and legs. How daring can you be? And then the desperation among the people speaking on they're saying this.
as in, they are pointing out to like there is no way there is help from coming from anywhere. Of course, there's a woman who was saying, you guys do the patrols. As in, the same things we're saying. So, where do you think the problem is? We ended when we were saying that there's a breakdown in there is a perception that the police have suspended their duties.
Yeah,
that's a very strong statement, by the way.
Yeah, we need to ask ourselves why there is very little morale behind our security systems, and not just the trained ones, even in Nyumba Kumi, right from Nyumba Kumi, because actually like this case is some kind of exercising. It's a traditional thing, you know.
It's like a ritual.
It's like a ritual, and that is now the work of Nyumba Kumi. So the question is Nyumba Kumi relaying information to our security system on time? That is
what you are saying is they are not motivated enough.
They are not motivated enough. There is need to own the system. There is need for us to understand that security is our thing, that it is ours. It's not for the police people. It's not for the police. Security is ours. And that's why there has to be that civilian face and that bridge, the nexus between the trained security personnel and the Nyumba Kumi. There has to be a very strong, and we need real-time, regular information sharing. And I'm not very much sure, but basically our early warning system
is wrong.
It's not even wrong, it's weak, and sometimes it is not there. It's not there. Let me share with you. You see, we need county early warning systems. 47 county early warning systems. These systems need to be integrated with our indigenous knowledge and the structures through Nyumba Kumi. For example, when we see that cow minus a leg and the head, what does it mean? That early warning system should capture an indicator on that. When you see 10 men standing at one point at around 7 in that community, what does it mean? For example, in West Pokot, you will know they are going to raid. So there is an indicator on the early warning system to indicate that by this morning, 10 men were standing at a certain corner. And therefore, we activate the security system around to know that the migration routes, for example, are A, B, C. So we begin to align ourselves on these routes
to monitor.
Find out, yes, whether the 10 men were up to something. So you see there is a relationship between the traditional systems and the early warning, plus what the policeman has learned in the training.
So who bears the most responsibility? The police, the DCI, or the judiciary systems? According to me, I don't think it even gets to the judiciary, because the early warning, it means it actually points at the investigative agencies.
We cannot remove even the judiciary. That's why we have the court users. Judiciary is also encouraging court users, basically meaning that they want to interact with the community. There are some things that don't need to stand in court so that it can be adjudicated. And that's why we have alternative dispute resolution.
Yes.
So that's why we want to work as a team. We need to work as a team. And for us to succeed in that, we need to change our attitude towards security and their role. And the security also need to change their priority areas. Waache kufukuzana na wanasiasa. In the first place, I will be speaking about politicians and security. Actually, the enabler of insecurity in most cases today is the politician. It is the politician. You know, the tank is a very small thing, but it can cause fire. When a politician goes to, for example, to the Senate, looks at those papers and says, and the Senate says, next week we will be sitting over this particular issue. Comes to a funeral, or some Harambe, and says, I'm going to roast so and so. He will be a Barnabas. You know, you are planning discord, you are planning insecurity without you knowing yourself. Such that by the time you go back to the Senate, you have actually demystified the whole thing. You know, it's like kutembea na kisu and you want kuchinja kuku. So that by the time you go even have that sitting in the Senate, it cannot continue and you cannot even chair the whole thing.
You see,
if we cannot learn from those,
you know, you're bringing up something very interesting.
Yes.
We have funerals every day from Monday to Sunday.
Yes.
Politicians and even elders and even church ministers are in those funerals.
Yes.
None of them points at the insecurities.
Nobody.
Because we don't have any other platform. Yeah. The platform we have with the community are the funerals. We have speakers who come to talk about issues.
Yes.
Apart from mourning with the bereaved, they also use that as a platform to pass a specific policy statement. And we never see them talking about insecurities. This kind of ritual, you've just talked about it to be maybe ritual, the sort of just seen on TV here. It needs someone to interpret it.
Yes.
Not on TV here, but to the masses, to the villages, to the people who are watching, who are there.
Mm-hmm. And the church is a critical component in this. But you can imagine, in Western Kenya, we have deteriorated so much. I stand in Kamkuywa and call you Nanjala or call you Mary, and I know you are a man, and I make that to be a big deal, surely. Between the people who have died, between the cow that has just been slaughtered in terms of a ritual, between the house that has been broken into, surely what is the issue that is supposed to be raised in any given forum? And so even from our political leaders themselves, everything rises and falls on leadership. People want to follow leadership. People want to be guided. And they want to understand, what did my member of parliament say? So mimi nakumbuka tu my member of parliament called fellow leader jina ya mwanamuke. So then we are rotten, we completely rotten. And we are doing that to please a certain source somewhere. I've come to realize that politics is business.
Of course, it's business.
And you just like journalism, you need a good headline. In politics, if you don't say what the piper wants to hear, utapata pesa ya the next weekend. So the question we have to choose. We have to choose between.
The case of the piper calls the two. Now, the issue is this. There is a disconnection.
Yes.
The masses are on their own. Okay?
Yeah.
The political class and security agencies, each one is separate. There is no connection among them. Who should take the leadership to bring sense to these people?
It is the leadership. Everything rises and falls on leadership. When leaders, it is said, when leaders or mature people behave like children, the populace will think everybody in this world is a child. And so as they come and they spew whatever words they want to spew on fellow leaders, we are simply watching as the audience. They have no idea how it will play back on them, especially when they will be dissatisfied. it will be disastrous. And so leaders must take responsibility. Leaders must take responsibility. And you know, Kitui, there is no meeting we do here in Kenya without having all these people present, including the church. Needs is ever there. But my question is, are you just there to collect information? And maybe, I know that security system work in a linear manner. You report to your boss. But now, after all this information being collected, how does it percolate to support the system, the entire system as a country? Does it just percolate to inform some political scenarios and building dynamics for 2027? Do we live just by building scenarios? How does, for example, the breaking in support in the building of scenarios in 2027? And so we as a country, we need to stop and begin to live. We go in an election, after an election, we begin to campaign. We begin to think like a campaign. We do things like campaign. We do security like a campaign. You know, go arresting, cause a lot of drama, show people that he's a thief. At the end of the day,
because the same security, the same investigative agencies will prove that actually he did not do what he was arrested for.
And you see, that will be proved after maybe 2 to 3 years. And it will be out of our memory. And it is you know, it is something like a cycle of events, you know. And so even when we talk about like Albert now, you know, the country is not happy, everybody is not happy, and all these things. So after this, so what next? The issue is, let us as a country begin to ask ourselves very serious questions. Are we going to manage the current security dynamics using the police that was trained 20 years ago in Kikanjo?
Now, let me ask you this before our time is almost up. Let's look at it this way. People are losing lives. People are losing property. And there is no motivation on the side of the reporting systems, that is early warning system. So when a Nyumba Kumi or a village elder or even a sub-chief or even a chief sees something, he will take advantage of it to try and even earn from it, instead of using it as something to inform the systems about what is pending. You get? Now, with this, is there a savior anywhere? As in, do we have any hope that things are going to change anytime soon?
There is hope.
Okay.
There is always hope. The worst thing is to live without hope. There is hope. There is hope because, you see, this is our country, this is our region, this is our county, this is our village. This is where we belong. This is where we were born. And those causing insecurity are our own children, our sons, our brothers, our sisters, and our children. So that's why when we get together, there is need for a very serious conversation. Very serious, irrespective of our political leanings. We need to soul search and do a very serious conversation around how can we have safe public squares? How can we have safe villages? How do we protect our counties? How do we protect our schools? These things, one of these days, are now going to spill over to schools. And that's why what you are seeing all over in the US and these other developed democracies. And it's not going to be real good. And therefore, we cannot hide and begin to create classes and think that some of us who are in the walls are more safe. No, we are not safe because we take our children in common schools. And that is where they will be hit. And therefore, there is a need for a serious conversation around these things?
Well, you know, you're raising something very serious here. You're saying, after we exhaust this, what we are seeing around, a theft here, a murder there, a raid there, and no response to protect the people, it will soon go to schools. And now that is where my worry is. Because the same men and women involved in this raid,
yes,
they are parents.
Yes.
Okay? Yes. They have brothers and sisters who are in schools. Yes. And they are interacting with those people who have suffered this same issue we are talking about.
Yes.
So when they started talking about forming a resistance, and they're doing it in a school, and then maybe the school administration comes and says, we don't want this behavior, we want this. And then they rise and say, no. Trust me, it's going to be chaos. It's going to be chaos.
Yeah, and that's why we have to have these conversations and develop even curriculums that are going to address these things right from kindergarten. We cannot begin to solve these things from the top. We must create even an education system that is compliant with the current dynamics and challenges that we are facing. We cannot continue using a curriculum that does not even address our issues. And the thought of security must be a serious thing. Every school needs to be attached with a policeman, if possible. Every school needs a counselor, just the way every school needs a nurse. Those are things we have never factored into our education system. We are busy using CDF to buy school buses. Yet in other countries, if you go out here, school buses don't belong to schools. There is a common school district that controls, with a superintendent that controls school buses. And in every evening, they only assign a bus to each school to do what they are supposed to be done. But here we build a huge story around I bought a school bus. So where are we putting our money? Where are we putting our money? And that is the money that will change the way we look at things. And there's something I don't want to forget mentioning. Are you aware today that our prisons, it's not, actually research is indicating that prisons don't deter criminals from repeating the same mistake when they come out. The question is, do we need these prisons just the way they are? Do we need these prisons the way they are? Let me give you an example. I have committed murder and I have been imprisoned. And I have been imprisoned maybe for 80 years. And so I'm incarcerated. Nobody sees me. I'm right inside there, maybe in Naivasha or Okabiti. No one sees me. So it has no effect. There is no lesson learned. There is only a memory that so and so committed murder and he was imprisoned. So don't try it. Ni kama kuambia watoto musikimbie na moto mutaita nyoka. But it wasn't the snakes. They knew that the fire would burn the houses. Tell these children straight what you mean. For example, if I have committed murder and I'm in prison, maybe for 80 years, kila asubuhi I am brought to a four-way stop in my particular county. That roundabout, nimebeba mbao. I committed murder because of careless driving. And then, so and so you are driving to work. Do you think you will be a careless driver? I'm only bringing you some of the things that some countries are doing and they are very effective. Prisons don't sometimes work for us. They don't.
So, okay, what do you think we should do? Because, you see, when we have these insecurities, and me, I don't want to go to the nation so much. I just want to look into our communities, because that's where the problem is. We can't invest Because if you invest, someone will steal. I remember in my village at some point, people could come after harvesting maize and sold. The same night you delivered maize to the cereals, you'll get visitors asking for the same money. So, if there is that kind of behavior going on, it means people cannot grow economically. It means they cannot trade. It means they cannot travel. They cannot even grow goats and chicken.
Let us start by building strong neighborhood watch through Nyumbakumi. Let's start right from there. Let us involve everybody. Let the communities buy into the whole thing of security, and we will iron out the wrong guys right from there. Once we have started from Nyumbakumi, then let the government sort out her security agencies.
You see, Trans Nzoia has had something very interesting.
Yes.
Alternative dispute resolution.
Yes.
That's a very good approach to solving these issues.
Yes.
But then, the only problem I have with that is that it's at the stage of crime having been committed.
Yes.
It's not preventive.
Yes.
Yes. What should we do to make it preventive?
But mentioning about Trans Nzoia, by the way, let me be very honest with you. We are a very proud people in Trans Nzoia because we have one of the best governors we have never had. George Natembeya brings on board not just being a governor as elected, but he brings this rich background, especially in matters of gender, protecting crime. Unaona, wakati anaambia chief kama wewe mtoto anapatikana na mimba, suspect wa kwanza ni wewe, uendelee kununua napkin mpaka to establish baba ya mtoto ni nani. You see, people didn't understand that language. But in terms of protecting crime, fighting crime, you must have very affirmative language. So we have one man who is very particular. He understands what he wants. In terms of, for example, these security issues, he knows how to work with the police. He knows it does not even take him 2 seconds. I mean, to rope in everybody. The system works. That's why Trans Nzoia is tunasema tuache sisi tufanye maendeleo, because actually we don't just have a governor, but we have a serious administrator who wants to see people living very peacefully. And understanding that Trans Nzoia is heterogeneous in terms of language. We are not like Bungoma. Bungoma, you can speak one language and no one will blink. But there you must embrace diversity, inclusivity, and therefore even the crime is so diversified. And so you need a serious captain. And for us, I think that Natembeya comes on board as a man who brings national experience to our county, and that's why alternative dispute resolution is very much strengthened. He would want people to solve things at their own level. So you are asking me, how do we handle this? Engage the people, involve the people, even in putting up your cabinet. Involve everybody. At least let us see a semblance of buy-in. But you see, we have counties that are just a replica of violence and insecurity. You can even speak one language in a cabinet meeting.
They thrive on negatives.
Yes.
Because that's where it benefits them.
Yes. And they stand on the mountain top and they begin to throw what they are doing at the people who are not doing it. And so we have to look at security right from where we are living. Are we promoting a secure environment? Because what makes somebody insecure? I am insecure if I don't belong. See, I feel like I don't belong in this environment. The boys around can steal my things. The communities around cannot give me service. And so that's why, for me, Trans Nzoia is a benchmarking county.
Let's end here because our time is up, but I can't let you go before you are repeatedly pointing fingers to the politicians or leaders. Politicians, when a politician uses a microphone and a crowd, what happens to his head? As in, what happens to them? Because these are your friends, our friends. These are the people, our brothers and sisters. But what happens when they see this microphone?
What is killing the Kenyan politician, and why the Kenyan politician is now a household for insecurity anytime they have the microphone? One, they take their brain, put them in a locker somewhere, and look for their master and walk with what he wants. That's what they are doing. I mean, recently you saw something, in the Senate, and look at the clip, look at the speaker, look at the person he is looking behind and addressing. And so the man literally does exactly that. Then I was like, sincerely speaking, even with the little education, you cannot do that. You cannot run. You cannot do that. So from the very function, he goes, all he has changed is a suit. And wants to chair. He's not even ashamed. I mean, that's where we have reached.
Let's end here. Our time is up. I just want to take 1 minute. Beyond security issues, we need socio-economic interventions to protect our villages. You have 1 minute. What should we do?
We need to go back to the basics. One, we need to redeem our ecosystems. Our ecosystems have, and in English they call it riparian land. Riparian land has been abused along the river banks, and I wonder even whether we will do circumcision any longer, because where will we get our vitamins?
Circumcision is that thing called cutting round, right?
Yes.
We'll still cut them round.
Yes.
Not this time round, not having taken them to the rivers, but we'll still cut them round.
But you see, one of the things I can assure you, you will never take the river away from the culture. Even if the hospital came and even if the church came. In any case, it is God who created the river.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. We've come to an end. I've taken a bit of the minutes from my director. I'll talk to him nicely. He'll forgive me. But then the most important thing is we need to be talking about this. Let's discuss this. Wherever forums we have, let's talk about this. What is happening in our communities? How do we stop the escalating crime? And it's just small things. A chicken stolen here, a kitchen has been broken into and food has been eaten. You see, those strange small things that are happening in our communities. And then in the end, nothing happens to those doing these bad things in our communities. So let's keep talking about this. Let's ask these hard questions to the leaders. Let us endeavor to actually end this on our own, because seemingly us not doing anything could be the reason why it's escalating. So talk to your pastor, talk to your chief, talk to your sub-chief in whatever forums you guys are going to be interacting with. Thank you so much. I'll see you next week on Tuesday. On behalf of the director of the show, Kelvin Kibet, I want to say thank you. My name is CKS.
West TV, tazama ilivyo.
Mimi kazi yako ni kulala tu. Unaona hii picha? Ni moto wako bwana, hii mahindi iko hapa. Sasa ndio iko kwa shamba yangu. Nikavuna, nikajaza store, nikauza. nikakuwa mtosi.
Hii inaitwa Lavender Total. Hii ni NPK foliar fertilizer. Hiyo Total uko nayo, mavuno itajaa kwa store yako fuli.
Lavender Total huboresha ukuaji wa mizizi ya mimea. Pia inaongeza uwezo wa mimea kupambana na kiangazi na magonjwa. Hivyo unapata mazao furifuri. Lavender Total kutoka Green Life Crop Protection Africa Limited. Your growth, our grow.
West TV, tazama ilivyo.
I see you got yourself a new driver.
Oh yeah, that's Sophie. Don't worry, we'll do introductions later. But let's go so you can freshen up and we can gist about your trip, okay?
Well, I have so much to tell you, so come on, let's go.
Alright, baby. Alright.
We'll be back.
Yeah. Just the same way you left it, right?
Yeah, please.
Alright, just sit here. Sit here.
Thank you.